Hi, welcome to the Accidental Chef Cooking School. My name is Carlos and I'm the Accidental Chef. And today at the Accidental Chef Cooking School, we're going to make two appetizers. We're going to make bruschetta and we're going to make an artichoke and spinach tart. So they're very easy recipes. These are recipes I developed for myself. I'm going to start with the bruschetta. Now, as you can see right here, I am browning this garlic in the olive oil. I learned recently that infused olive oil and flavored olive oil is one of the highest places where it gets rancid and then it gets toxic and then becomes not good. So I always flavor my olive oil at the point of using it. So today I've got this garlic in this olive oil. As you can see, it's kind of nicely browned. I've had it on for a few minutes. So I'm going to turn this down right here. My butter's getting a little too brown, so I'm going to add a little bit more butter to it. It's not going to hurt, just like that. And I'm going to make a light roux to make my appetizer over there. But my oil is simmering with the olive oil. While it does that, I'm going to make the bruschetta. And the bruschetta is very simple. It's roasted peppers. I'm going to slice them up and roast them in this infused olive oil. And I'm just going to cook them down like that. Now, if you want to, you can also add tomato, but I'm not going to add tomato today. I'm just going to use the peppers today. You can see I'm cutting around the pepper, not disturbing the seed pod. So it's really helping me with a whole step of not having to deal with that. The seeds stay intact. They're not the big mess. They're not in your teeth. You know, it's a great thing. Take your pepper labels off. You don't want that in your food. And you're good. And we're good to go. All right? Again, I'm going to use my bird beak, which is a very small knife with a turned point. Thought I had one up here, but I don't. So I'm just going to use a nice paring knife like this with a very sharp tip so I can pull these strips off of here. You can see I'm getting nice strips here. Very thin julienne strips. Okay. Very nice. Very thin. The thinner they are, the quicker they're going to saute. Let that saute like that. Now, after I put the julienne strips, I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces because I'm going to put it on this bread. So the peppers have to be cut sufficiently so they fit on this bread. Most of the time, that's how we determine how to chop something or cut it, but how it's going to be served. So if you're not sure, just logically think through, how is this going to be served? Will the person have a knife? Will they just be eating with a fork? So if they are, then you just cut it to make it into a bite-sized piece. There we go. Cooking is most of the time very simple. This recipe I developed myself after looking at a lot of different bruschetta recipes. Most bruschetta is served with the bread separate, and you put it on for yourself. But this one, we're going to put the mixture on the bread and then bake it with some provolone cheese on the top. I just love provolone cheese. Real quickly now, almost finished with that. I'm just going to cross-cut these peppers so I get a nice cross-cut. There we go. Those big pieces out of the way. All right. I'm going to pull out my garlic and set it aside because I'm going to return it to the recipe in a minute. After I get my garlic up, I'm going to bring up my heat in my oil. All right. Just going to like that up to about medium. You know, our beautiful range here and all the appliances here at the Accidental Chef are provided by our corporate sponsor, KitchenAid, and locally by Coburn Supply. So if you're in desirous of a new kitchen to cook like the accidental chef, then just call them. They'll be glad to help you out. I'm just gonna get my peppers all full of oil. Put a little salt on them, just a tad bit of coarse salt, help them break down a little, and just a hint of cayenne pepper. I almost use cayenne pepper exclusively. Okay. All right, we got some nice brown butter over here. I'm gonna add some flour to it, and I'm gonna make like a little roux. That is to say, a sauce that's going to do that. I'm gonna use this and just kind of bring that together. The brown butter makes it nice and brown like that. This burner, it has 20,000 BTU possibility, so it burns at a very high rate of heat. So if you're not careful, you can overcook or cook too quickly. So cooking, you have to be aware of your tools, like this particular whisk I use to bring my my sauce together. We find that it works very nicely for the roux. It doesn't stand in my pot very well. Get my peppers good and roasted up to that. I'm going to add a little bit of dry basil to that. I'm going to add some wine to my creaming sauce over here. Ah, yes. Yes. Very nice. Let that thicken a little. There we go. While that thickens a little, I'm going to take my artichokes and I'm going to just chop them up really nice. You can do this in the food processor, or you can use a chopper, or just like I'm doing here with a broad knife and just kind of cut them up. Keep the peppers out of there. There we go. Cut, cut, cut. The food processor works very good with the chopping the artichokes, but you don't want to do it too many times, just a couple of good pulses, and it's ready. All right? So I'm going to add that to my cream sauce here, just like that. Very simple, very, very easy, very sim. Bring this back over. There we go. And this is all in the wrist. You see I'm bringing that rolling, I'm rolling it on that curve, and it's just coming back. Actually, it's not moving. The peppers aren't moving. I'm moving the skillet back underneath. So it comes up and I go back, and it's up and back. I look like some Shinto master with the thing, but it's not that difficult. Just stir that into here. Let that simmer a little. All right. Then I'm going to add frozen spinach to that. Now the frozen spinach is going to bring a little liquid to this, and it's going to thin out my sauce, my roux a little. Begin to make a kind of a saucy kind of feeling. Just like that. I think it needs a little bit more wine. Today I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc, but whatever you're drinking is fine for the white. Preferably, if I was really being intentional in cooking, I would have gotten dry vermouth. I like dry vermouth very much for cooking. Two things: it's got a screw-off lid, it's well priced, it's very dry, and it does very nicely. As I'm stirring here, I'm deglazing this pan to get all that stuff that was stuck to the bottom. You can see that. All right. And I'm just going to add to this just a hint of nutmeg. Maybe a fourth to an eighth to a fourth maybe, not quite. Whenever I make a sauce like that, I always add a little nutmeg. Milk and cheese together makes for nice with the nutmeg flavor. Okay, let that saute a little. It's doing very well. So is this. Let that cook like that. In fact, I'm going to add a little white wine to that too. I'm going to bring that heat up a little bit more right there and get that good and going. right there. Okay, now to my artichoke, you can see how easy this is. A little salt and a little cayenne pepper for flavor. You know, cayenne peppers are a marvelous flavor because it adds zest rather than just heat. Doesn't change your thing. Beautiful. You see how the sauce has smoothed up as the spinach has released its liquid, and it's still in the process of doing that. Now, I'm going to add the garlic back to this dish, and I reserved it together. Just going to let that saute nicely. You want the peppers to get in a very broken state. Now, I've taken a baguette bread like this, and I've sliced it very thin, comme ça, to make my, if you will, bread plates for my bruschetta. And you can see I've taken olive oil, which I've mixed with anchovies. I've infused my olive oil with anchovies. It's very easy to do. You take a tin of anchovies. These are very nice. With the oil, just put them in there. Get them out of there, like that. Take a couple of sharp knives and just mince them real well. Just kind of break them up really good so all that oil gets out of that. I'm going to add some olive oil. If I had more, I'd add more. And just mix that up really good, okay? I've got like a hand food processor that I like to do it in, but this works just as well. And then you just baste it with your regular basting brush. And they're ready to go. I added the anchovy to the oil so that I would get another very distinct taste inside of the bruschetta. Besides the garlic and the peppers and the rich taste of the basil, you can see this garlic's good. I'm going to mash it. I'm going to start mashing it in the skillet right here to kind of give that, release some more flavor. All right? Just mash it good. You can see they're good and soft from roasting in the olive oil. It's a little tough with this rounded spoon, but I'm going to push down on them, get a good catch, and then push down like that. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, to the spinach, I'm going to add Swiss cheese. Grated Swiss cheese, sliced Swiss cheese, just depending on how it's sold at your market. Sometimes I can buy it in a bag already grated. Mostly I buy it in a block. Today all the market had was sliced, but it really doesn't matter because the cheese is just going to melt right into the dish. And you say, Carlos, how much cheese do I put? Well, you put as much cheese as you want. Make it as cheesy as you want. It's not going to matter. Doesn't matter to me. Holds up nicely in the. We're going to put them in those these nice phyllo shells, which I bought already made, but they're very easy to make if you want. You just get your small muffin pan, and you put the piece of phyllo dough in there, and you use your dimpler, and you push it down. Bake it for a few minutes, and you've got a nice cup just like these. But like I said, I bought those already made today, so just make it easy. That's what I'm trying to do, help you make good, easy holiday treats. Move this then on. And we got that nice, nice, nice. Okay. The sauteed good. All right. All right. All right. That's ready. I'm going to turn that down to low. Just going to stir this. In fact, I'm going to take the heat off of it because I'm just trying to melt the cheese. So I've got that good and cheesy and melted. You can smell the nutmeg. It smells so good, and it's so easy to thing. a small scoop here to scoop my artichoke and spinach mixture into my tarts, just like that. Very easy. Whoa, oops, kind of had a Julia Child moment there. This is good. See, it's just very easy. Don't worry about it if your cheese isn't completely melted, because we're going to bake these for about 5 to 7 minutes in a hot convection oven to make them really toasty. And it's really easy. That one's got lots of cheese. This one's got lots of artichoke. But the nice thing about that stuff in big pieces like that, the eater can really have a sense of the flavor and the enjoyment and such. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm just gonna take that like that, put those on there. And you just you figure out which scoop works best for you, or a spoon. If you have a spoon, you want to do it that way, you can do it. I like these scoops because they move the food product around and you don't have to touch it, and it makes it real easy. And they make these as small as a ½ an ounce. So you can find the right one, or you can use a melon baller, just to kind of put that in there. Or if you want, if you've got a nice set of pastry bags, get one with a large nozzle, and you can just use your pastry bag to fill these. But be sure you have a large nozzle, because you've got those big pieces of artichoke and spinach, and sometimes they will clog up your tip and make it more difficulty than the ease you were looking for. Fun. These are beautiful. Your guests are going to really love these. They're pop in your mouth hot and fun. And as you heat them, the phyllo really crisp up. Everybody loves those. Everybody loves phyllo because it kind of crunches and it's got good flavor. And it has real versatility. This particular manufacturer has, yummy, has them in other kinds of, not just the regular phyllo, but they have one that's red, that's a sun-dried tomato flavor. There's one that's green, that's a spinach flavor. So look for it in your market. The finer markets have the variety, but most just any market has these phyllo cups in it. One more and we're all set to go. You can see how easy this is. Now these really freeze beautifully. So you can have them frozen on a tray like this. Then you have guests call and say that they're popping over. So you pop out 6 or 8 and you throw it in your little toaster oven and they're ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and stick these in my oven. I have it, like I said, convection at 425, which is a very hot oven. I'm gonna set that for 6 minutes so I can check them then. So let's see how our bruschetta's doing. It looks beautiful. So I'm just gonna move this out of my way. And I'm gonna bring my breads that are ready. I'm gonna get another scoop, as you might suspect. I've got a drawer full. This is sauteed very nicely. I'm gonna try one more time to mash the garlic into that. All right. Yes, very nice. You can see how mashed it is, and you almost have no evidence of the garlic in there anymore. So your guests will be quite pleased. A little bit of that on there like that. Like I said, if you want, you could add tomatoes, and if you did, you just add them like a nice firm tomato, like a Roma. Just slice it. You don't even have to peel it. And the tomatoes break down and make like a nice sauce too there, if you wanted. I also have a recipe where I use eggplant, and I just put the eggplant on there. It's very good. You saute the eggplant, you could just cube it, soak it in salt water, and add it to this mixture. So you'd have another wonderful flavor and a nice surprise for your guests. See, I'm just loading these nice little babies up. There we go. Now, you know I'm a caterer too, so I make things in mass quantities, so that's why I've got this huge tray. This is way more than you would need for a party of 4. You can usually figure about 2.5 per person that you're serving, so that you don't make too many. So I'm going to take this beautiful provolone cheese. I'm going to cut it like this, and I'm just going to lay it right on the top of that. A little coarse salt on there just to add some crunch to it. All right, and then I'm going to cut this circle into 6 pieces like this, very easily, and cover that up. This also freezes very well, so you have them in your freezer. Your husband comes home from work and says he's bringing a client home for dinner or for drinks, then you can just whip out these little appetizers, and they'll think you worked all day, and they'll go, my gosh, it's Martha Stewart. But no, it's just you and the accidental chef getting you ready to entertain and to make it ready. So let's go ahead and put these in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because I'm done with it. Again, we appreciate you coming to the Accidental Chef Cooking School and our cooking show today. We'd love for you to be our guest at the cooking school, because the cooking school is a marvelous place to have fun, to learn to cook, enjoy time with your friends, and of course, have a wonderful, wonderful fine dining experience. Again, thank you, and I'm Carlos, the Accidental Chef. Follow us at accidentalcooking.com. Thank you. Well, we would love for you to be our guest here at the Accidental Chef, because you know at the Accidental Chef, everyone has a convivial time. That is to say that we love to have fun. We love to stir up some fun, but we love to make good food, and we love for you to learn how to cook good food, because you know good cooking is no accident, and at the Accidental Chef you can do that. So we're ready to eat our lovely appetizers we made today. We've got the spinach and artichoke tart and the bruschetta with the peppers and the roasted garlic, and they're magnifique today. So please be our guest at the Accidental Chef Cooking School, and again you can follow us on accidentalcooking.com. Find today's recipe on accidentalcooking.com. So join us anytime at the Accidental Chef Cooking School. Bella. We're really glad to have you here. Let's take a big bite and see what it's like. These are nice because they're like one big bite. Mm. Oh. Mm. 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 Such rich flavors. A little bit of wine. Life is good. And it can be with you at the Accidental Chef Cooking School. Remember, cooking is easy. You can do it, and we can show you how. Anytime at the Accidental Chef Cooking School. If you were our guest today, you'd be enjoying these delicious appetizers. So here's to you, my friends. Join us at Accidental Chef Cooking School, and follow us always at accidentalcookingblog.com, and register and follow us, and we'll keep you posted about what's happening. So Accidental Chef Cooking School. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.